Well, hello everybody. Today we are going to be baking a 6-layer cake, which is something that I've never done before and clearly makes me an authority to do an instructional video for everybody else. So, before we get started, we're going to have to make sure that we have a few of the ingredients necessary. The first thing that we're going to be doing is getting our 6 layers together, and we're going to be mixing some food coloring gel and some milk. So we got to find our measuring cups and then go from there. So I will get my measuring cups here. They are gotta be around here somewhere. So I can't find my measuring cups, but I looked it up. We need 9 tablespoons of whole milk. A tablespoon is equal to half an ounce. A shot glass is 1.5 ounces. So we need 3 shots of whole milk and then just a little bit of vanilla. We're also going to do a toast for good measure. So to all of your baking successes. Now, I've divided up the whole milk into 6 different bowls. It's not necessary to have matching bowls. These happen to be the 6 bowls that I have. Now, we do want our butter to be not right out of the refrigerator, like slightly softened. If you're anything like my family, you keep the butter in a butter dish so it's like warm and almost melted all the time anyways. So we're good to go. Now that that's all ready to go, we're going to go ahead and get started. So the mixer is not working, but we're not going to panic. We simply go out to the garage and find something to make it work. So we do have our mixer blade and our power drill. And we're going to go from there. Now, when we're getting ready to add the flour, the recipe does call for sifted flour, which I'll be honest, I have no idea what that means. I'm sure there is a flour sifter. I have no idea what it looks like. I checked my garage just in case, but I couldn't find anything labeled flour sifter. So I'm gonna use a strainer instead. I think that'll work. We're gonna find out. Our batter is ready to go. Now, the recipe calls for us weighing this and dividing it equally so that we get the perfect amount in each of the 6 bowls. Clearly, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to eyeball it. I'm much more of a fan of that method. And we're going to gently fold in the batter with our milk and food coloring mixture. Obviously, I know what folding in means, and I'll demonstrate that. So we're going to start to gradually fold in the batter to the milk and food coloring mixture. Gently just folding it in, continuing to fold until we can't fold it anymore. We're buttering and flouring the cake pans in preparation to put the batter in. I call this the Haven method. Been perfecting it now for about 3-4 minutes. We've put the batter in our cake pans, getting ready to bake. 350 degrees for 20 minutes, and then checking to make sure that everything is done. During that time, and I cannot emphasize this step enough, this is probably the most crucial part of the entire process. We're going to put our cakes in the oven. we're going to get ourselves a nice adult beverage, and then we are going to drastically lower our expectations about what's going to come out of the oven. I cannot stress that enough. Drastically lower your expectations so as not to be disappointed. All right, our cakes are done. So we're gonna take them out of the oven. We're gonna let them cool. And then while we do that, we're gonna get working on our frosting. Now that our butter's good to go, we are gonna be using sifted powdered sugar. So back to our trusty sifter. Our recipe calls for 6 tablespoons of milk along with a half teaspoon of vanilla. So if we remember from earlier, that's going to be equivalent to 2 shots of whole milk. And at this point in the process, you're probably going to want to take a shot yourself. If you've made it this far, you deserve it. Our frosting is done and we're ready to start the cake assembly process. Now out of the oven, the cakes are not all the same shape, and so we have to make them level. This is where a cake leveler comes in. I have no idea what that is, much less do I probably own one. So we're gonna go out to the garage and see what we can find. All right, I did not find a cake leveler, but what I did find was a clamp and an old guitar string. So with this, we should be able to level the top of our cakes. And it actually provides us a little musical entertainment as well. So we needed the cake to be at just the right level for our makeshift cake leveler. This is where the Field Guide to Whiskey comes in. So we're gonna set our cake on top of that and gradually gonna be working our way through the top of the cake, working our leveler back and forth until we get the top perfectly level. I'm not going to discard the top layer because we save all parts of the cake. So at this point, you should probably treat yourself. Have a little bit of that cake, but save it in a bowl because we're going to use that for our toppings at the end. All right, so you can see that our cakes are nice and level, but they do have this kind of outer layer of crust along the outside. In my opinion, that's my favorite part. So we are going to trim around that, but make sure to save it, and most likely, if we're being honest right now, probably just eat it. And this is where the lid to your like backup coffee can comes in handy. We're going to put that on top and then use that as a guide to trim around. Now that we've got all 6 cakes leveled, we're going to make sure that we're checking our work. And that is looking good. All right, now we're going to start assembling our cake. We're going to need something to set it on. Anything will work here. Old paint can lid, coffee can lid. Really just any kind of round surface will do. We got a first coat, and now we're just going to let it chill in the fridge for a while. So I'll take that. That's what it looks like so far. I'm getting there. All right, our cake is set and it's covered in icing, but we want to try to get some really cool clean lines around the sides and on the top. And to do that, we need a cake scrape and a cake spinner. If you've made it this far, you clearly know that I have neither. I really had nothing required to make this cake, but I am creative. Now I have a file from my garage and a music stand. So to get these nice clean lines, we're simply going to go around the edge, rotating the cake. Last step in the process is we're going to use some of our leftover cake crumbs to decorate the top. So we're just going to kind of throw some of those around. And we're good to go.